Hi, everyone. I'm Hal Levy once again with Payment.com, and I am joined today by Ken Apple, who is Vice President of Customer Success at Routable. Welcome.
Hello, good to be here.
Good to have you. We are looking back and looking ahead as part of our Executive Insights series, and the question is general, but we'll get specific in a few moments. What top of mind for you? What top of mind for your clients as we head into a new year that leaves a very volatile one behind?
Yeah, and I'll speak for my clients or what I'm seeing. I don't think you care what I think. What I'm seeing, 100% is people are being cautious. People are being financially safe. They're making decisions through the lens of, oh my gosh, I have a limited number of dollars. How do I get the most return for my dollars? Things like team efficiency, when you think about payables, how do I do more with less? I think they all know they have this set amount of required work that just has to be done. They just want to be as efficient as possible so they're free to innovate. And we can talk about all sorts of ways that they're going to innovate, but that's the context I was thinking. That's number one.
So when you're doing more with less, that speaks to two things in my mind. More with maybe fewer people on staff, because we all know companies are cutting. They have to in many cases. The other idea too is to do more with less, not just in terms of dollars, but more with I would say an easier technical lift or a technological lift, if that makes sense. What are your thoughts there?
I'd split it a little bit. I don't hear them going to less staff, less team members. That may be a macro thing that they do or don't do. Independent of that, I think the economic situation requires people to think of terms of team efficiency. I think currently when you think of the AP space, I think the research says, I think 84% of the team's time is bogged down in repetitive invoice generation motion. So they're looking for ways to do that more efficiently. So it's not the reduced staff, but it's more of how can I be more efficient in my people, processes, technology. That's kind of where they go.
So if they are looking to be more efficient and there's a mindset shift from where it might have been previously, how does one or how does a team, how do you start to rethink payable? Because
Yeah.
because it's been you don't tend to rethink how you do things until you really need to. And I think that introspection brings with it an examination of where the pain points are. So tell me where the pain points are. Tell me what it means to rethink payable.
Yeah. And I'll give you a symptom. So I'll know when someone's got the bug to be more efficient or to rethink. We have more and more finance teams coming to us. They have been approved with development cycles to automate via API or text. In other words, be more API forward. In other words, whatever we can do to create the payables or the invoices or to send them or distribute them or approve them or all the work, there's more an interest and push from my customers to be like, Ken, Routable, I need you to be an API forward solution that I can invest some dev API resources and automate and scale. Scale and efficiency. I've seen that as part of the system. That's one thing I've seen customers do. The other thing that customers are doing, they want a platform that helps their team be more efficient. They want a partner that comes to things like, what's your average time for a payable? I think currently, a payable takes 10.7 days. They want a partner that says, how do we drive that less? How do we make that 87% manual cycles become 50%, through tech, OCR, workflow, UI improvements. I think what I've seen customers really value and partners that they choose is a rethink API. If the vendor's product team is knocking on their door and consistently saying, hey, would this view help you be more efficient? Hey, we were monitoring the time to code and it looks like it spiked up or it looks like it went down. What lessons? They're looking for a partner that's going to help them and think in terms of their team being more efficient, whether that's full API or whether that's just process and in-app improvements. Both My customers get tired of hearing from us because we're knocking on the door. Did this work? Hey, we saw this. Have you considered this? Here's a change in workflow. Here's a different report. Here's an export. Oh, don't export anymore. Instead, make it an online report. Stuff like that.
Yeah, are there, you mentioned an interesting stat there. You said the average AP turnover, I'll call it AP turnover, is 10 days. Um, I'll tell you, I'm a little surprised by that, and I'll tell you why. Um, my impression is that companies want to hang on to their AP as long as they can, right? I mean, it's a cash flow management tactic, for better or for worse, and sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. But obviously, there's a ripple effect up and down vendor relationship. What are you seeing there? When if you're seeing the average AP movement is 10 days and you're cutting that down to be a little bit more efficient, what is the ripple effect you're seeing?
Yeah, I think I would push back a little bit on the question, and I would say this that what you described, I almost call the weaponizing of AP, right? In other words, I'm going to change a nickel, charge you a day. I'm not seeing as much on that as I am seeing much more on um, I want my AP solution, whether it be speed of payment, whether it be notifications around the payment, how they get paid. The weaponizing is more kind of the mechanics and saving the nickels and pennies and whatever. I think the interest I see is much more along the lines of I want whatever my AP strategy is to actually drive loyalty for my customer base. I can give you a couple examples. Like imagine if you have maybe it's a gig employee. Let's think about that. We have customers that they are thinking about the delivery drivers and they're not thinking about saving the penny by holding the money for another day. They're actually thinking about what's going to be best for this driver. Do they need the money Saturday night? Do they only need it after the holiday? Do they need it real time? Do they need it a week later? They're really looking at it again, not as weaponized, but more as to drive vendor loyalty. Same thing like think of the nurses that are getting done with the shift. They're a gig employee. They did a shift here, they did a shift there. When they go to check out of their shift, and they immediately get a note that says your payment has been sent to you. In other words, it's the speed, it's the nurses are loyal to that. Drivers are loyal to that. I think they're looking for ways to use this. This sounds really nerdy. They want their AP strategy to drive customer loyalty. And it's an area that if it's done efficiently and drives loyalty, it's like a win-win-win. It's their passion. A lot of people are going that way.
Are you seeing, and I can understand the gig economy is fertile ground for this, certainly. Are you seeing any other avenues or what I would suspect might be a natural extension of that or adjacent vertical where you start to see those expectations, that loyalty really starts to ripple out into other areas of daily financial life? Because you mentioned, getting the loyalty there can pay more dividends than saving the nickel or the penny. So let's talk about
Yeah,
that.
other mission critical thing other than you can imagine if I'm done with a nurse and it was a hard shift and I got paid, that's really drives loyalty. I think the other thing when we're talking about people's uh, dollars, money they're owed, I think accuracy, I think ease of they need to trust the solution. So if you get a note that says the payment's on its way and it's going to be in your account in 48 hours, it needs to be on the way and in their account in 48 hours. And if there is something in the banking rails of the world that caused some type of delay or problem, you need to have a system that reaches back out to them. Say, oh, we are so sorry. You're earning trust. You're communicating. So it's not just the differentiator loyalty. You better have a trusted solution, an easy solution, an understandable solution, and one that has built into it that if there's a deviation, my pennies are not going to arrive for another day. You should tell me in advance. When I'm calling you and say, what are you doing with my money? That's never the recipe. So I think there's the loyalty differentiator and there's the trust, scaled, intelligent, proactive. It's all those kind of those adjectives, adverbs that our customers are using in the industry.
So if all of this is a little bit of a seismic shift in how to think about payables, which it's in a continuing process and iteration. So we're coming out of a year that's been and still is difficult from inflation, interest rates, you name it. Okay. Right sizing operations, we can call it. What would you suspect we might see in the next year and beyond as you start to see more of a focus on, as you put it, loyalty, communication, transparency? What next?
Yeah, yeah. I think then the hard issue comes on. People are thinking, okay, it's going to be a tough year for a year. Maybe then they're thinking about year two when things start to scale and grow and ramp. They start to think about, have I chosen the solution that is going to scale? Is it going to be dependable? Is it going to be efficient? Is it going to continue to be effective? I think they think, again, not next year, but if you think about the year after, they want to be winners. They want to be growing. They want to have a system that doesn't encumber. They don't want to have an AP system that encumbers their business growth. They want something that they don't have to worry about. And so I think if you go the next year, you're going to see a lot more scale growth. Did we pick the right one? Is it efficient? Is it effective? It's not set it and forget it, but it's going to be set it and let's let it grow and not be a distraction. I think everybody's looking for 2 years down the road. It's going to be crazy growth and they want to be positioned. AP teams are specifically notoriously behind in staffing. And so if they can invest, some of the stuff we've talked about, I think they will feel more positive and be better prepared for what I'll call the expansion and rapid growth that's coming.
I like that idea there. Set it and watch it grow, which is better than set it and don't worry too much. Set it and watch it grow. That's an optimistic and I think a good roadmap. Ken, I want to thank you for the time and for the insight and for the conversation. Look forward to doing
Sounds
it
good.
again.
Thanks for your time. See you.
Take care. Take care.